Right, Rebecca, it's great to have you on the podcast today. How you doing?
I'm fine, thanks. How are you?
Good, good. Yeah. No, I'm really good, sir. And it's great to have you on the show. And we was talking about like psychology previously, and work and coaching. Because I know like you're like training in these areas, like kind of what
Mhm.
got you into this kind of area, and you know what you like working towards.
Yeah, so I one of the first roles I had was working in the career space and employability. So I was helping people that didn't have jobs, and I've just kind of it's gone from there. So I suppose I just fell into it, and then I just decided I really liked it, and I went on to I've studied a bit of occupational psychology, but at the moment I am focusing more on the coaching and career coaching, helping people to move towards a career and a life that's full of like meaning and purpose. So my specific interests are more like career and confidence and leadership. And I'm also at the moment like, on the side, I'm training to become an occupational psychologist. So that's kind of what I'm up to at the moment.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I think like in that field, there are different areas where that you can go into, and you kind of constantly learning new things. And there's so many areas, where you can help other people, isn't there?
Mm. Yeah, so there are, I mean, the area, I mean, there are is coaching, but there's also like learning and development that you could go into. There's a lot of people that are interested in selection and recruitment. So it really is just choosing the area that you want to go down. Um, I think the area of coaching is massively taken off for everyone. I think lots of people, either whether you're looking to get a coach or training as a coach, you can see that it's so beneficial, no matter which area that you go into. A lot of people, even like health or relationships,
Mm.
there's like leadership and career coaching. So I think that it's so worthwhile. So that's why I've been an advocate of it, because even though I look more towards the career, you can see how it has such benefit for like your well-being and your health as well.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And I think especially now, I think more people are kind of gravitating towards coaching, to do coaching themselves, and I think to also receive coaching as well. I think it's a very kind of forward thinking approach, isn't it, to kind of moving forward, to kind of having that direction. And in career coaching, a lot of people are uncertain about what path they want to go down. Sometimes people need that a bit of clarity and a bit of assistance to help them kind of get into what they want to do, and trying to figure it out. Because I think sometimes people are under pressure as well. They need someone to talk to. There's kind of lots of things happening in the world that people sometimes kind of bottle up, and they don't always talk to people about it. So it's quite a good way of people moving forward and reaching their goals. And I think it's kind of your mental health is a definitely kind of key point where you should start.
Mm. Yeah, I like that thing that you mentioned about mental health, because I think that you have to really take into account the individual. And even though most people would say that they want some sort of goals or success, but that is an area that you really do need to grow from, and making sure that that's intact and you're thinking about that first. And if you do, like even with sports or anything like that, when they win or are successful, a lot of what it comes down to is the great coaches that they've had, or the great mentors that they have had as well. So if you take that philosophy, then you can really understand why you would want a coach. I mean, I really enjoy it. Like, who wouldn't want someone who's going to challenge your thinking? And sometimes when you're having those like negative thoughts that perhaps aren't true, or someone that's going to push you, or even just remind you, of what's the values, what's important to you, maybe the sort of person that you want to be, and help you to grow in that direction. I can really see why it is becoming such an area of growth, and an area where people want to be coached and people want to do more coaching.
Yeah, definitely. And I think like with coaching, like you said, it's an area where, you can grow. And I think like having that someone to kind of hold you accountable and someone to make you, it kind of forces you to, look at yourself and look at areas of weakness and your strengths and where you want to improve. And, sometimes we need that person to coach us so we can, develop and improve. And that it's okay to, be vulnerable, isn't it? I think, you kind of have to go to like a vulnerable place and you have to accept what what may be coming up for you, or what the other person's pointing out. And it's ultimately like, you've got to put in that work, haven't you? You've got to want to kind of change and to show up to kind of move forward.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. I mean, a good coach would probably put you in a situation or like to say things that are going to challenge you or make you feel a little bit uncomfortable, because that
Mm.
really is where the growth happens. I think naturally we want to like expect. Obviously, we want to experience those positive emotions, and it's just natural for us to like move away from the things that don't make us feel good. But if you do want to, if you want to have a meaningful life or successful, you do have to kind of go through those emotions. I mean, if you think of anything that you're proud of or that you've done or accomplished, like along the way you probably have felt something that's not been that great, or you felt anxiety or stress or anything like that. So it really is just having someone to me keep you accountable when you're going through those things, to help you to look at your values and meaning and the purpose of what you're doing.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And I think it's like you said, it's definitely something. I think since COVID, a lot of people have been kind of moving towards, and I think it's definitely, giving people time to think about, where they're at and what's kind of going on for them in their lives. And, I think like a lot of people kind of, move towards it and, really kind of shifted. Yeah, sorry about that, it disconnected. But when you before you left, or as I was talking, I was saying like COVID, I think has been a period where a lot of people kind of moved to coaching, and a lot of people have kind of looked at themselves and things have come up for them, and they've kind of then gone into coaching to receive it. If that makes sense. I think it's been a time where a lot of people have kind of shifted and changed. Do you think
Yeah.
that's what happened as well?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, people might also say that it's been a time where people have lost their jobs, which is true, but also I think it's been a big time of reflection. um, because I've definitely have, or we've all had a lot of time or more time to just reflect on maybe where we see ourselves going, what we actually want to do. I mean, especially some people that might be now working from home. um, a lot of the, I suppose like I suppose some of the like thrills of like what you do has gone, because you're
Mm.
just working from home. You're just doing your job, so you kind of, it's so much more clearer to you, what you like and what you don't like about your role. I mean, something that I quite like in an area of coaching in the coaching conversation is it's called job crafting, and it's about looking at your role now and seeing if there are any small changes that you can make to make it more personal to you, because obviously we value things that are more personal to us. So if you have specific strengths, or education, or the skills that you perhaps don't use in your role but you would like to, looking at how you can make those little small changes to make you feel more fulfilled in your job and to have more meaning. So I suppose it's like looking at the ideal job or career that you would want, and looking at where you are now and if there can be any overlap between it. um, because as you know, like most jobs aren't going to give you 100% satisfaction unless you're in the, like you have the opportunity to completely craft it yourself if you're like self-employed or something like that. So I think, you know, especially moving more towards like these current days, it's necessary for people to maybe look at things that they can do to bring more fulfillment or more of their personal like self into their roles. And it'll be like great for the organization as well, because I think everyone's really searching for those values and those meanings and to be able to bring it into the organization. And people come from like, they have so much different experiences and different, you know, they've done different things, had, you know, different education, and it's great when you're able to bring that in.
Yeah, no, I think they're really great points, and I think, you know, like a lot of people sometimes they get, I mean, everyone you know has to work and things like that, but I think sometimes people get stuck or caught up in a job that they don't like, and they think there's no way out.
Yeah.
And you know, there are ways out, and you know what you mentioned, like look at your job, and you know areas is it like job crafting, like looking at areas you know that you know that work for you, and then other jobs that you can kind of probably transfer your skills to, or jobs that
Mm.
may appeal to you. And I think like a lot of the time, as you said, you know, you people probably get fulfillment out of their work if they're self-employed and they can kind of control what it is that they're doing. But I think like if you're working for someone else, they should be able to listen to you and kind of like use your if you have a voice or certain skills that you want to put forward in a certain area, they should support you in that. If that makes sense. I think some you know employers do that. If someone has certain skills or they're qualified in something, they'll then kind of think, oh well, perhaps you can do this role in that job. So I think it's so important, isn't it? You know, for people to be happy as well. You know, to have um, that passion for what they do.
Mm. Yeah, like I really like it, like, and I can see a lot of organizations more moving towards that. I think, you know, there is a bit more autonomy in roles now, where it's not just like, this is your job description, you need to do that and I don't want to hear anything else from you. So it's
Yeah,
getting a bit more, you know, like to be, especially with working from home, it's, they've kind of been forced to see that, you know, people are going to work in their own ways. You know, sometimes people obviously have family and children, or, you know, different circumstances. So that situation, even with COVID-19, they've had to make it so that you can make it a bit more individual to, you know, where you are in life. So I think these kind of practices can only help the organization as well, make people stay in there longer and feel more happier in their roles as well.
yeah. No, that's definitely it. And I think you know if people are happy in their job, they're going to work better, and you know it's that morale of the team, isn't it, as well?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've worked in hotels and restaurants, and sometimes if you get someone who's not okay or they're not happy being there, that can wear down on you as well. And it's like trying to,
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to everyone has days where they might not feel up to it, but it's so important that kind of positive morale in the team because it can just domino effect.
Mm. Yeah, definitely.
And like I was thinking as well, like, do you have any favorite books that you like to read? I remember you mentioned you have like one book.
Yeah, I haven't been reading any, like, you know, front to back books where you can just read it for a little while, but one of the books that I read recently, it was called The Righteous Mind, and I really enjoyed it. And it was basically about why people believe the certain things that they do. So it was looking at like religion and politics, and I suppose it is kind of relevant as well to today, and how we can be kind of polarized and like, this is right or this is right, and there's not much in the middle. So it was speaking about, you know, the reason, like, even though we, like, say if you're a liberal, you can't really like see how someone would think that way. It was like looking at how actually they're not bad people. Like, you can think about, you can see them and have a conversation with them, you can tell that they're not bad people, but in your mind you know that, like, why would you think that? So it was just looking at the different values that they have, and trying to bring those, you know, so that people can have more understanding. rather than just be so polarized. And as you can see, the bad effect that is happening in like news and things, and there's no middle ground. It's either like right or wrong, black or white. So I really enjoyed that, and I'm not that much of I don't really follow like a lot of politics and stuff, but I just found the whole like psychology of it really interesting. But in terms of books, like I think I've just been reading more like textbooks, just like, because obviously like I'm studying at the moment, so just I've been interested in a bit of like positive psychology and like coaching psychology, so I've been reading those kind of books. Just anything that I can get my hands on. I've not really, you know what, I probably should read something something new. Do you have any suggestions?
Me, I'm just trying to think right now. Suggestion wise, I'm reading Green Lights at the minute by Matthew McConaughey. Green Lights, that's quite good. He's got very good writing style. I think Think and Grow Rich is quite good. I think that's quite good.
That once.
Yeah, that's really good. And try to think of some more. Everything is Figureoutable by Marie Forleo. She's a coach. She's like in the corporate side of it. She does all the kind of corporate coaching and public speaking. But I can send you links. I mean, there's so many books out there, isn't it? Sometimes, it depends in what time you have as well. Some people don't like reading; they like kind of audiobooks or podcasts. So it's very dependent on like your life, what you're doing, or what you kind of like. But if when you're studying, you have to do lots of kind of reading, don't you? Anyway, and you kind of get you can get so caught into textbooks.
I do like audiobooks though. One of them that I've been listening to is called Coach the Person, and it's by someone called Marsha Reynolds. I think she's actually a really good coach. I think she's like one of the top coaches actually. And it's about making sure that you are like looking at that person as an individual, and it's basically a coaching book. But I think, as you mentioned, that like Think and Grow Rich, I started it, so I might finish that one time. I know that's a bit of a classic really, isn't it? But I might start something and let you know how it goes.
I'll keep each other updated.
yeah definitely.
Because I think Think and Grow Rich is one of those books that you kind of have to reread. I think like I've read it once, but it's kind of something that you can go over. It's one of those books you can always go back to and look over, if that makes sense. It's kind of like that. It's like a manual almost. But books can be really effective. You can learn a lot from them. And I was also thinking, do you kind of have any role models or like mentors, like growing up or like now, whether that's professionally, personally, in the TV, kind of anyone or friends?
I think I kind of just take bits and pieces from different aspects of people that I like. I don't really have any role models per se or mentors. Like I actually was speaking about this recently, just about how the manager that I had, like my first manager, like I think she probably embodied a good role model for me. She was very like encouraging in what you wanted to do. I think, as we were speaking about before, about like looking at the person's interests and their strengths and that kind of thing, I think that's something that I've learned. But like I don't think I have any like, oh, it's this person, but I do look at bits and pieces of maybe I really enjoy like what that person's doing in their professional life, in their career, or I really like their attitude to life, and I'll probably just take a little bit of that. Or I really enjoyed like the kindness of this person and how humble they are, and then just testing it and seeing what works for me, and what suits you, and feels authentic. So that's kind of what I do. But in terms of people, I'm not too sure.
No, that's fine. I mean, I think it's like you said, it can be people that you connect with on
Yeah.
social media or LinkedIn or in life, isn't it? You know, it doesn't always have to be a kind of one person or certain people.
Yeah, I think it's just as you go through life, people have different like effects on you, and you can kind of you can kind of take that and be like and see that as something that you can use in your life or just adapt it to make it work for you.
Yeah, no, that's it. I think it's a really great point, and I think it's like you say, you know, in work and managers you may have, and you know how you see them work and being professional. Um, definitely makes me think back to some places I've worked, and you see, you know, the manager deal with, you know, stressful situations, and they're just very kind of clear headed, and you think,
Yeah.
gosh, you know, I want to be like that, you know, to be able to deal with certain, you know, it's how you kind of react, yeah, you know, how you react from situations and how you deal with it, isn't it? You see other people do that, yeah, kind of inspires you, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And sometimes it just shows you like a different way of being because I know that, sometimes you're just naturally around people that are similar to you, or you just kind of have this like one perspective. But then if someone does something in a way that, or like manages a situation in a way that you know that you wouldn't have, you can kind of be like, I really like the way they got to a solution from that point. Some people perhaps think more about the people first and how the people might be feeling, but other people might be able to focus on the task and maybe like the greater good of like
Yeah.
long-term benefits. So just the way different people approach it, it might not be what I would have done, but then you can see the good in it, and
Mm.
I think that's what's important.
Yeah, I think that's what's important in a team as well, isn't it? And you know, when you think about work and how everyone kind of has their role, and like, you know, how it's important to kind of utilize on people's skills and experiences and what they can bring to the table, isn't it? I think that's something, you know, like if you look at certain workplaces or companies and why they work, and you think, well, you break it down, you know, it can probably relate to that. You know, they're kind of utilizing people for them to be the best at what they do, and kind of put them into where they need to go. I think some, you know, companies, you know, that fail or don't do well sometimes, you know, it's all a knock-on effect. And if people aren't happy, and if people aren't feeling that they can utilize their skills, then you know, you see a different outcome. Like, do you
Yeah.
see that in some places?
Yeah, definitely. I guess that's also like the whole like reason for like the case people make for like diversity and equity in
Mm,
organizations, because then you get that difference of opinions and difference of thoughts, and it's more representative of the world out there, rather
mm,
than having just lots of people that are basically like mini yous, or that
yeah,
think the same way that you think, or would have like approached something in that way. I think it is nice to be able to appreciate why people would choose something, or go a different way. And I suppose it's like going back to the book, that one
yeah,
book that I could about how it was mentioned, how it was speaking about, like although they're all good people, like you can see that, even though someone might be like really liberal or someone's really conservative, they're not actually
mm,
like dangerous or mean or horrible people, but they just have different
yeah,
views. So I think sometimes it is that, appreciating where they come from and their foundations as well.
yeah, yeah. So it's, I think that's one of the, there's the kind of skills I think you kind of have to try and learn and work is, you know, everyone's going to be different, people got different views than you, and it's kind of like how like, like how well you work with them, you know, regardless of, you know, their views or opinions.
Mm.
Um, I remember a chef said to me once, he said, you know, not everyone's going to like you, but it's kind of how well you work with them, if that makes sense. Like if you can do that. And I used to see that in people, and you'd see them clash, you'd see them curse and say stuff to each other. But when it came to getting the job done, they'd do it. You know, they kind of, I
Yeah,
think, you know,
yeah,
people put, it's been able to be strong enough to put things aside and do that job, isn't it? And to respect other people, isn't it? All
yeah.
kind
It's
of, all
definitely a
interconnects.
skill. definitely that's something that just comes naturally or easily. It's something that you definitely have to work on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I completely agree with that.
Yeah. No, it's so important. And I was also thinking, like, what would you say, like, kind of like happiness is for you? Like, kind of what in life, or what things kind of tie into that for you?
I think that's like a big question. Like it's a simple question, but it's such a
Mm.
like big, like different way to
Yeah.
ask
Yeah.
it. But I guess mostly when people think of happiness, they think of like success and, you know, obviously like you want to have like a successful life, but I think that there's also like different elements that come into it. Like you need to like relationships, and I think for me it's like meaningful, like to do something that has a benefit that's beyond myself. I think that is happiness to me.
Mm.
But yeah, like it is kind of
It's
like one of those where do I start kind of questions.
yeah.
But yeah, I think, you know, having that good balance of, you know, feeling accomplished,
Mm.
and doing something that probably matches your strengths and your skills, having like good
Yeah.
relationships in life, and yeah, and doing something that's meaningful.
Yeah. No, that's it. I think happiness and like success are very, very, very different for each people. But I think like as you mentioned, providing value, to other people, having that meaning and, good relationships, I think is something that, happiness and success for me as well, thinking about it.
Mm.
Having those solid relationships and to your life for what you want success and happiness to be, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's all a big process and journey.
Hi, can you still hear
Can
me?
you? Yeah, I can hear you. Can you
Oh, okay.
still?
You froze for a little bit, and I got a
Right,
bit worried.
that's okay. Could you hear me?
Yeah. Well, I could hear like a little. I could hear
Okay.
the first bit and the ending.
Yeah, I was just basically saying, happy. It's okay if happiness and success changes for some people.
Yeah.
It's a process. It's like a journey, and it's different for each person.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's why it's probably such a struggle to answer that question, because I think,
Yeah,
you know, even some people would probably value like relationships above everything, which I think is a valid point. I mean, I wouldn't be happy if I didn't have, you know, a like a support network around me. Whereas other
yeah,
people might be like, well, if I get to this point in my career, then I'll be happy, you know. So I, yeah, it is all about that different balance that you have.
mm. No, definitely. It's I think, like you said, it's just one process, and we're continually learning all the time about what it
Sorry,
is.
I just need to
Yeah,
get my charger.
yeah. Of course, don't worry, that's fine. But yeah, I think like it's a constant process, and I think as well, a lot of people sometimes get told that this is what success and happiness is. This is what it is, or what we
Yeah.
see in life as to what we think is happiness and success. So we then start doing that, and sometimes people then realize, oh, it's not actually what is happiness and success. I've achieved these XYZ things, or I've accumulated these XYZ things, but I don't feel, people still sometimes feel unsatisfied. But I think it's you got to kind of do your own thing, and I think a lot of gratitude comes into it, a lot of your perspective. Um, it's kind of a bit of a paradox in some way. You kind of got to
Mm.
find out what that is yourself, isn't it?
You know what? That is so true. And I think that's where a lot of people get confused, just because there's so much messages like even from social media, or even could be from friends or family telling you, you know, what you should value. And if those influences are so strong, and you kind of feel like you have to value those things, but then it's not necessarily going to lead to a fulfilled or happy life or something that you want to go towards. And you know, even for me, I think that some of the things that I want in my, like we spoke about, like more like meaning and things that benefit with beyond you, beyond yourself. But most people, like a lot of people perhaps at this time, are, you know, trying to chase like money, or like, you know, trying to be like really flashy on social media, or yeah. So but then you get those things, and if it's not what you want, then you kind of just going around in circles and you're wasting your time. So I think even in my coaching, like I really want to do a foundation and do a starting point of looking at, you know, what creates value for you. You know, you can look at your strengths and things like that, but I really do think that whole like looking at your values, and then also moving towards that. So looking at how you can like making sure the coaching is more like moving towards the thing you value, create that discomfort, but like coming from that foundation of understanding like who you are and what you want to do, and you know, making it more individualized to you rather than what the whole world tells you, or what your friends are telling you, or what social media is trying to tell you.
Yeah. No, I think they're really, really great points. And I think, like, you know, what you see other people doing social media, it kind of creates this kind of image of, you know, this is the way it is. This is, you know, how it's meant to be. And I think, like, you know, by following those values and, you know, what is true to, you know, being true to yourself and genuine, isn't it? And I think if you are true to your values, then, you know, you go for that discomfort and you grow, and then you get XYZ, and then I think, you know, you appreciate it a lot more. And, you know, kind of instead of following, I mean, a lot of the time, sometimes people do it automatically or subconsciously. But I think, you know, being aware of that, it's different. You know, I think, like you said, you see people on hamster wheels, and they're getting, you know, they're working their way up, they're getting XYZ, and then they're doing it again and again, and they just want that next thing. And it's quite a dangerous place, because, you know, it's all that time and energy going into that thing or that place to get XYZ. But I think ultimately people have their own lessons, don't they? And through, you know, career coaching and life, it's one of those areas where if someone kind of, you know, wants to change, they have to kind of want to, if that makes sense. It all interconnects, doesn't it? It all kind of comes full circle, really.
Yeah, I think you can't really escape, but you'll understand, or like you'll understand it at some point. But I think, you know, especially when you're younger, I mean, I currently also do career coaching for people that are school age, so, you know, just leaving school or college.
That's awesome.
And they, you know, sometimes parental pressure, you know, wanting them to do those typical prestigious jobs, but then, you know, if they do it, and sometimes they tell me like, oh, like my parents want me to do this, but like I want to do like X, Y, and Z. And, you know, if that career is especially like very long and tedious, you know, if you're not enjoying the work that you're doing, it's not gonna, you like, you're not going to finish it, and if you do, you're not going to be happy doing it. So yeah, that's probably why like the whole like career coaching is so important, to make sure that you're making those decisions that are going to benefit you, and really thinking about in your life, how those can affect your decision making. Even the place like where you like brought up, and the things that you see, the people that you have access to, that makes a whole difference as well. Especially like some people that, you know, are only around people that, you know, work in a certain area, just exposing them to be like, oh, actually you could do this or you could do that. It's really beneficial.
Yeah, that's it, definitely. And I think that's like something that kind of falls into it as well, like, societal pressures, parental pressures, and those kind of like, oh, people being influenced by people around them, and then not actually kind of thinking about what they actually want to do deep down.
Mm.
You hear about that all the time, and you see a lot of that, and that's going to affect people's self-esteem. People are going to feel anxious. That's going to affect their mental health. So I think it all interconnects, and I think it's important. People seek guidance or clarity for people like yourself. In career coaching, if they're in that place where they're not too sure, or they need someone to talk to gain clarity, because it's okay to change your mind. It's okay to do
Yeah.
what you want to do and not what someone else wants you to do. I think Gary Vee talks about, like, you to not please your parents. Like, sometimes we can
Mm.
please people, and we've definitely, I think we can all relate to it in some way. Um, but I think it's better to, like, disappoint them short term, follow what you want to do, rather than you having probably resentment in the future for not
Yeah.
doing something and to please them. So you must have, like, heard a lot of different, people's different opinions on or people being in that place.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think it's really difficult to differentiate where where like what you actually think about stuff. I mean, even
Yeah,
I kind of get like confused, like, is it me that's thinking that, or is it, coming from this person or coming from that person, and how
yeah,
do I make the distinctions? And you really do need some sort of like a thinking partner, really. um yeah, because it's such a journey.
yeah. That's it. That's it. It's all one big process, I think. But no, it's definitely something people should think about, isn't it? People should have these kind of conversations, because it happens so much in society. Um, if I give advice, I think, like, it's just try things out. Just try things out.
Yeah.
That's kind of how it works, isn't it? Well, that's what I think did for me, and probably yourself as well. You just trying different things out and just finding out. Some people know what they want to do straight away, don't they? But I think ultimately just trying things
Yeah,
out.
those lucky people.
Yeah, I remember a kid at school, and he was like, I think he did a PhD like very early, and he just kind of like knew he wanted to. I think it was some science topic or something he wanted to go into, and I was thinking, how on earth does this guy know straight away?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
fair play.
Yeah, yeah. Those people that just go straight for it and they're just like, oh, I want to do this. I think I remember listening to, I think it was just something on, I think it was just like a live stream on Instagram, and someone was
Mm,
mentioning how they knew they wanted to be an educational psychologist when they was like 12 or something. I was like, wow, I didn't even know what that was, like when I was that age.
yeah,
So like he was mentioning how she got lots of she was getting the right experience and stuff. So for some people it
mm,
does just fall into place. So obviously there are like challenges and things, but for some people it's, you can direct all of your attention towards that.
yeah.
Whereas, you know, for others it's a bit more of a journey, a bit more ups and downs.
That's it. That's it. And I think it all kind of it's that journey, isn't it? And those challenges, and where you grow and struggles, that kind of all make your life, isn't it? It makes you appreciate what you do, where you're at. Because I think, if a lot of the time we think it's kind of, we start there and it's just an uphill peak, and then you reach your
Yeah,
goal, and
yeah,
there's all these kind of pitfalls and everything else in between. So, but that, I think that's what you would want, really, seeing where you grow, you met, and all of that.
yeah, because it makes sense, doesn't it? Like that's kind of what you happen. And then you realize that actually it's not going like this, and you start comparing yourself to other people, and that's when you get all of these like negative thoughts and comparisons, and thinking that you're not good at anything, and
Mm.
not really sure where your life is going, and you can kind of go into that kind of spiral.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think it's definitely important, as we said, like to really kind of focus on what you want to do. And if you're not sure about that, there are people out there, who are willing to help you to gain
Mhm.
that clarity, to put you in that direction, I think. And I was just thinking as well, like, where can people find you on social media? If you have a website or anything like that.
So LinkedIn is probably the best way to contact me. So it's just LinkedIn. I do have a website, which is www.rebeccamarcia.com, but I think with LinkedIn it'll be better, just easier to
Yeah,
get a response quicker.
yeah. No, awesome. And what I'll do as well, I'll put your details in the description so people can contact you as well.
Yeah, great. If anyone wants to reach out or has any questions or anything like that, I'd be happy to help.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I just want to say, like, keep up the good work. I think you're doing great in what you're doing, and you're following something as well that you're passionate about, something you want to do, and you're wanting to make a difference and help other people. And it's really important, that there are people like yourself who are out there, wanting to do good and to be a service to people who need help and a bit of clarity on things.
Yeah, I think it, yeah, I think that even for my own personal journey, like I can see
Mm,
how, you know, those influences can, like how you just need someone to be able to help you along that journey. So I think, me trying to like see how I can help other people with this coaching, with their jobs, with careers, it's something that's really important and inspiring to me.
yeah, no, really, really is. And yeah, I just wish you continue support in success and all that you're doing. And yeah, keep up the great work. And I look forward to connecting again.
Great, thank you, Adam. It's been a really good chat.
No, you too. You too. You're welcome. And all the best in what you're doing. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Take care.